We just finished the first side event of COP21, and it's a Nepad side event on a very important subject on climate financing. How do we finance adaptation and mitigation activities in Africa? And as you could see, the room was so packed because this is an issue that is very important for the continent. We all know the impacts that we are having now on climate change, whether it's droughts, whether it's floods. How do we support communities to adapt to climate change? How do we support governments to put in place policies that will encourage investment in programs that respond to climate change, investments in technologies that support communities to adapt to climate change. We presented the Nepad Climate Fund. As you know, we have had this fund for 3 years, and we have supported about 16 countries across the continent. The heads of states have asked us to expand the fund to make it bigger so that we can cover more countries and more issues. And so today we presented the results of what we have been doing under the Nepad Climate Fund, and we also presented the future outlook of the fund in terms of expanding it and having multiple windows to support government, civil society, and private sector activities that contribute to support community actions. Today in the countries, I think we are beginning to see progress in terms of there's a lot of awareness of what at the government level, but also at the community level, of the need to have strong institutions, to have communities coming together so that they can act on concrete actions on the ground. You know, we have the last 2 years we have been supporting the development of the Gender Agriculture Climate Smart Program. And it was a big eye-opener because we realized that in the countries, the capacity of our institutions are still very weak. When we talk about agriculture and we want to implement Malabo, Malabo says we want to reach 25 million households. Now, half of those are women smallholder farmers. These women don't have access to credit, they don't have access to input, they don't have space in terms of participating in dialogue. The ministries themselves do not have a clear policy in which to support smallholder farmers. So through this analysis, we have worked with the countries to develop a program for each of the countries that will help to address 3 main issues: policy coherence issues, supporting women groups to organize themselves so that they can receive training, they can get input, and lastly, to have direct investments on the ground for communities to be able to have actions that respond to or mitigate climate change. So actions, whether being them in irrigations, for instance, that can help in augmenting agricultural productivity, actions that might be also along the value chain to empower women to become, to enhance their role as critical stakeholders in fighting climate change.
Africa can do a lot. We've done intended nationally determined contributions, and many of our governments are prepared to cut down emissions of carbon dioxide. We are replanting our forests. We want to improve on environmental degradation in many of our countries. We know the problems, but we lack the resources. We cannot depend exclusively on the meager budgets we have. And so this is why we have to convince the international community that Africa is ready to do its bit. Fortunately, Africa has got Nepad and has got African Development Bank, among other institutions. I believe they should become like consultancy institutions to our individual countries. And also, they should deepen their cooperation with the African Union and our regional groupings. So wherever we have to act as a region, we act as a region. It would make for economies of scale for us. Wherever we have to be specific as individual countries, with the guidance from these institutions, I believe we'll gain credibility wherever we have to negotiate with the international community so Africa can get its fair share of the resources to do things for itself. This is where we are, and we don't have the time to waste at all. Our leaders should rally, use the institutions, cooperate, and let Africa bear its fair share of the contributions to stop climate change. Because the world is fighting climate change for the planet. We shouldn't allow divisions in the world. Now, leaders should advocate. Tell the so-called developed world that we are in one boat. We sail together, or the whole world might sink together. That's not what anybody wants. So they should stop all the discriminations and things.